Okay, that should put me live. Dylan, can you check the stream? Confirm. Are we good to go? Excellent. Thank you. All right. Welcome, everybody. I am happy to be again doing a live stream, and this again coincides with another Fasttrack update. And this is really one of the things we plan to do is that ideally each time that we post a Fasttrack, I'm going to do a live stream and show you guys some of the stuff that has changed. My name's Christian. I'm the project manager here at BattleGoat Studios, and obviously the game I'm showing off today is Galactic Ruler. We've been in early access about a year and a half, and the game is getting ever closer to version 1.0, the full release. The update that was posted just about an hour and a half ago puts us at version 0.819. I have posted a changelog. And speaking of, I suppose I can sort of call out the changes as we go. But yeah, so as of version 8.19, we're feeling, again, pretty comfortable. The game has gotten more stable, added a few more features. There's actually been some really significant changes since what we posted about a month ago, which, funny enough, came out of the last live stream. Anybody who saw the last one got to watch me fail that we thought we had fixed some stuff around being able to move resources to your colonies or to space stations that you were starting to exploit other planets, and it fell down. I could not do the thing I was trying to do. But today it shall work. I'm going to show you guys some of the basics of the game, some of the early stuff you would do. Yeah, I might as well just jump into it. If you have not played the game before, and you choose to pick it up in early access, first, thanks, then the tutorials. If you go into the tutorial section, you will find that Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 at this point are pretty much complete. We might still add a few things to them, but they function from start to end, and they teach you the first chapter really just is about getting you comfortable moving around the map and recognizing what some of the elements are. Chapter 2 really has you start as your faction in the system, takes you through common actions you would take if you were just starting your own game. Chapter 3, I think we've got about half of it complete at this point. It starts to try and teach you the things you do at the planet level. Because this is one of the things we're very proud of, is that Galactic Ruler is a game where you generate a galaxy, and that galaxy contains many systems, and those systems contain many planets, and you can go right down to the planet. That you could be having battles happening on two planets, a space battle happening above that one of those planets and in two other systems, and you could be looking at the galaxy level to move things around. Galaxy level is really just about navigation, but the layering that we've got, I don't know of any other games that do this sort of thing. You get something like a Stellaris that has planet level controls, but they're very abstracted, that you get a pop-up for the planet. You don't have the tactical level battles, the combat system that made the Supreme Ruler games so popular with our audience. We've carried that over and allowed for you to do it planet and space level. So very exciting stuff. Chapter 4 for the tutorial isn't done yet. Ideally it'll focus on combat, and we're just still balancing some stuff. All right, starting a new game. This is probably what people would do initially. You have a choice between 3 sizes of galaxy and 3 styles of gameplay. But this is just sort of letting players make a quick option if they want to just get into the game. Once they click factions, most of the things you would have set with those buttons on the previous screen, you have access to them. Oh, is my camera doing something weird? I'm having problems with the webcam on this thing. I'm going to try and deactivate and reactivate that camera. I might eventually just have to stream with no picture of me. Oh, I think the webcam on this laptop is dying. Okay, I'm going to keep talking for a few minutes, and I might try the webcam again. So, setting up the game, when you get to this screen, you can choose between the various factions. The early access began with 8 factions. Or 2, 4, 6. Yeah, we started with 8. We've now expanded to 10. Eventually, there will be enough factions to fill all of these dots. You can control how many factions you're going to have. And then basic controls here, advanced controls. And I see the chat's piling up. I'm going to come to the chat in just a minute, check what people are saying. But something that was added to the advanced settings here that I've been using a lot in testing now is you can change your starting forces. The standard, what we had as the base game before is here's your planet, you've got an orbital station and 3 interceptors. But as we would test, every now and then I'm like, I literally need 20 ships. I'm going to hack my game to have the 20 ships. We decided, why bother hacking it? If you set it to massive, you start with something like 125 ships, a couple of every ship type right in your day one inventory. So if you want to explore some of those parts of the game, it's really easy to do at this point. Another thing that I've been using more in here is the map seed. Anybody who's played Minecraft knows that you can set up a seed to get that if you use the same number, you're going to get the same results from the procedural generation. The seed I'm going to use today is 3. And enhanced starting, because I want a few extra ships, don't want to have to wait for them. And then I also want advanced technology. This moves you up the tech tree a little bit. Probably takes out maybe about the first 45 minutes to an hour of gameplay, accelerates you into it a bit. Really good for multiplayer if you want to be able to start finding the other players quickly. And then I want to play as the Stalopter. Now I could generate, but I've actually got a save game already set up to do these settings. Give me a second to check the chat. Let's see what people are saying. Thanks to everybody who's joined us. Zach and Black Order hopped in quickly. Hi from the Netherlands from Black Order. And so the update that I'm playing right now is live on Steam if you use the Fasttrack option. You got to go into the game's properties, betas, I think, and you opt into Fasttrack. Mac says that he's loving GR. Welcome back, Mac. Yes, Mac was here last time and asked me about the transfer of goods when I had that total fail. Today it's going to work, I'm sure. Mac will ask, will there be a Galaxy editor? There isn't really a Galaxy editor because we don't edit. We don't design the Galaxy. We have a system where it sets up weighting to say planets are this common and asteroids are this common, and the number that's punched in generates a random galaxy. Right now, we don't have a system for creating what I would call a curated, like an intentionally made galaxy. And if we don't need it, I don't know that we would spend the time developing that kind of tool. Maybe post-release, that might be something we could look at. Let's conquer. Let's go. Just checking to see if anybody else. Oh, somebody said the camera's fine. Trying to activate the camera again. Nah, it's all glitchy. I'm just going to leave the camera off. Oh, yeah. So the comment was made by BattleGoat that there will be an editor for the data files, all those files that go into generating the galaxy. How's multiplayer performance? It's been doing pretty well. We've done multiplayer tests of 5 to 6 people, and the game speed is holding up pretty well. 64-bit has been working really well. There's still some optimizations to be done to the procedural generation system. That starting a multiplayer game, that's probably one of the big challenges right now, is that even on a very small galaxy, it has to generate the 50 systems and then transmits it to all the other players, and you just end up waiting on some file transfer. So that's improving that process is on our checklist of to-dos. Okay, I feel like I'm mostly caught up on the chat. Okay, let me go back. Like I said, instead of generating what I just showed you, I had pre-saved, didn't I? There it is, my Stalopter. So this is a fresh game, just started. You arrive in, here's my world that has, if I hold over, it'll show me that I've got an orbital station and an orbital shipyard. The names for some of the facilities, that's one of the things that changed in this update. We used to use Space Dock for your orbital station. And there was some discussion on the Discord channel about the fact that the naming of some of the facilities was causing confusion about what they were. So we did some revision, and now most space things begin with the word orbital, so that you know that you've got them. If I right click here and go to build, you'll see that I have a whole bunch of orbital things. So yeah, this is my planet, and this is my emblem. If I am somewhere else, I can click my emblem, will snap me back there. You can see that we are currently paused, and the game paused text is here. I can see how much of the 4 resources I have. I got a mini map that we can sort of see that if I look around, there's a planet over here. Oh, with a lava moon. I think that's a lava moon. That's what it looks like a bit. Yeah. And then up here, oh, that's me. What's this one? Probably the pirate world. Yeah, one of the design standards we've set up is that each faction begins with... So a faction starts alone in their system. There's some backstory stuff that sort of explains the why. And there's a pirate faction in your system that generally you're going to want to deal with that at some point. And you get some messages about that. But I picked, the reason I used Seed 3 for generating for this test is because I knew it was going to give me 2 worlds right beside me. And, oh, this didn't give me quite... I thought it was 3 I'd used before. Oh, we must have... I had the wrong seed, but I'm going to use this one anyway. Okay, I'm going to deploy some units. Because I chose that enhanced starting, I got 12 ships to start instead of just 3, and that includes a planetary engineer, 2 transports, and a colony ship. So I'm going to deploy all that stuff, let time roll. The help messages, you only get a couple of them in campaign. This is used mostly for in the tutorials, but I'm just going to dismiss them and they won't pop up anymore. Then what have I got? So that's my transport. Actually, I'm going to send my transport back into reserve. Don't need the transports right now. Might need them later. It's a colony ship. Okay, my pirates were up that way, so I'm going to park my colony ship behind my planet. I'm going to start construction of a defense platform. I'm going to stick 2 of those on here just so that the pirates will leave me alone. But that engineer, where is he? Select all these. Engineer. I'm going to send him over here. Getting this orders list, so when you select a unit, let me find him again. When you select a unit, it's left click to select or elastic band to select. Right click tells them where to move. If you hold the control button, the control key on your keyboard and right click, you get a menu of all the different orders that they can do. So I want him to build an orbital, oops, not patrol. I want him to build an orbital station. And so now he's going to fly over. What are people saying? Oh, somebody else is answering the questions. He's on his way, and this engineer is going to be transformed into an orbital station. So this means I've now created a colony. Now I hadn't surveyed the planet beforehand. I just figured I'll take whatever I get. I can now see that this planet is... Oh, the minister is asking if you can research space stuff. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. So this planet is... a dense forest jungle, small moon, gaseous atmosphere. It's hostile to me. I can go down to it and take a look. It's actually a very small world. There won't be much to exploit on this one. I can go back up. And going up, there's a button here to go up, or you can click on the icon for what's up. To go down, you saw me use the icon there, but you can also double click on a planet. It takes you down. Because this is my colony, I've claimed it. As soon as I switch, you'll notice my UI changes to this bronzish color. And we might do more later we support a separate UI skin for when you're playing as your colony. For now, it's just a color shift to show you are now the colony. And I can actually see the colony emblem is here and my empire's emblem is there. And I can switch back and forth to these on the fly. And this can become important because my colony, of course, has all these resources. Sorry, my empire has all the resources, but the colony's inventory is separate. Each planet needs to keep its own stock of the commodities. So when I built the colony, when I built the orbital station here, I'm going to dismiss that message. I'm going to switch back to colony controls. Building the orbital station does come with some initial personnel, so you have at least some spare soldiers to get another building online. And for resources, finished goods, I have this initial stock of finished goods as well. And this is important because I need to build more stuff. A new building we added called an orbital storage. Oops, right click, build orbital storage. This is the facility that's going to let me use the right click, the diplomacy with the faction. Oh, I got to switch back to being me. So I'm the empire. I can right click on a colony, factions, that's my colony, and I want to do diplomacy. Now if I try and send them resources right now, it's going to give me back a message saying you can't trade with them right now. They don't have a spaceport, they don't have an orbital storage facility. You're required to have one of those in the colony to be able to send and receive resources. You're actually also required to have one in your empire, and that's something I haven't done yet. Is on my home world. I'm going to need to build a military spaceport. I'm going to need a spaceport facility to send out the resources, and that's going to match up with the orbital storage that they're building on their side. And you get a new colony, you toss down an orbital storage, maybe a defense platform, and it's set. I could have decided to try and build a spaceport here, but I haven't actually gotten down to the planet yet. I have no supply to be able to build anything here yet. So this is progressing. I should probably crank up the speed for now. I've got some ships here that I can use for defense. Actually, I've got a survey drone I should send him. Let's find out what this world is. Oh, perfect. It's habitable. Okay, I'm going to slow this down because this is the other way you can claim a planet. Where's my colony ship? Colony ship. Add him to selected. So and this time I'll show you guys another way to do the orders. With the units selected, I can go to my list of selected units. Gets me the orders panel, which has all the different orders. I can choose, should be near the top, colonize. Changes my cursor. I'm going to right click on the planet I want to colonize on. That immediately pushes me down to the planet level. This one's a bit bigger actually. I'm going to look at elements and energy, because energy is an important resource. So there's an energy deposit here. I go there. Talk about the energy problem. Yes, I will address the issue of energy. Like I said, I've told this colony ship to land right here because I want to be able to exploit some more energy. Energy was a problem 2 updates back, but last update already started to solve this issue, and it's definitely manageable at this time. I'll come back to that because I'll have better examples for the energy in a couple minutes. So I just colonized another world. This time I didn't build an orbital station above it. I sent the colony ship right down and colonized. When you colonize a world in this way, it builds your first city, and it builds the spaceport for you right away. We've just completed construction of... Okay, that's fine. That's back on my homeworld. Now that I've taken this first hex, we're starting to look at some of the rules that would have affected Supreme Ruler players. Is that building in territory needs supply, needs resources. I should check... Yeah, because this is brand new, the supply model won't really have gotten anywhere yet. Where is filters? Supply. Yeah. So, 3%. So I can start building in some of these adjacent hexes. Once the supply gets here, actually maybe I'll build transport, rail. Let's get a rail line. So that'll spread my supply faster. Then ultimately I'll start building a power plant here. Back on my home world. Let me reset my filters. So the solution to energy is getting this spaceport up and running. Once I have the spaceport running, not only does it let me trade with my colonies and other factions, but it links me into what's called the merchant AI. This is, the backstory has these as the robot merchants of a race that's just disappeared from the galaxy. Basically, they're a giant Purelator and Amazon all in one. And so once I've got a spaceport, they will react to my presence and start offering me to buy or sell, which is trade. There's no money in Galactic Ruler. So they'll offer me that they'll trade for various commodities. I can already set this up. While this is still building, I can plan for my trades. And the user interface has changed. There's a couple ugly pieces because we still have to fix the graphics. But what I can do now is, let's look at my commodities. So I have more than enough capacity for agriculture. I'm only using a fraction of my production capacity. Or I have about 2.5 times what my demand is. I'm not too worried. Energy. This is where I start running into problems. Is my total production capacity of energy is really low compared to my demand. Now, I actually have a good amount of stock. You start with a fair amount. So if I shut off my production, I could use my reserves right now. I could go 281 days and I don't run out of energy. Because I'm producing some, my stock could actually last me 424 days before I would be out of energy. But before, you couldn't get past that 424 days. Now what I can do, I can go to my market targets. So it repeats that sustainable, that I've got 420 days of sustainable reserves. And I haven't set a target. I'm not trying to export or import. So I'm going to crank this to say, I want to have 567 days. I want more sustainable days before I run out. Now to do this, actually it automatically generated me this email to remind me it's a barter system. If I want to import something, I have to be willing to export something. I had so much agri there, I'm just going to go back to agri and I'm going to set this to export. The further down you put the slider, the more aggressively it's going to try and dump stock of that good and sell off the extra you want. So I'll put that at about the middle. I'm setting this for a pretty high import. The test games I've been playing over the last 5-6 weeks, just the other day I had a case where the merchant AI couldn't keep up with the import demands I wanted, and I actually had to slow down some of my production of finished goods. But in most cases right now, the merchant AI solves all your energy problems. Okay, so we finished building our spaceport on planet. The defense platform above my planet is done. Both of them, right? I built 2 of those. I established a new colony. I could jump to the colonized planet. So, Black Order wanted to know about if colonies still have to give you everything. No, colonies, if you tell the colony, give me everything, they have to give you everything. But there's not really that much of a benefit because you want to use the colony. And let me show some of what's going to happen there. So how are we doing here? My orbital storage hasn't quite finished, so I still can't ship them any goods. But I have a spaceport. This colony of mine has a spaceport. So I'm just going to right-click, faction, Stellopter, diplomacy, and I want to be able to build more stuff there. So I'm going to ship them, I don't know, 500,000 tons of finished goods. Add that to the offer. And I'm not going to request anything in return. It's my colony. I need to give them stuff. I'll send that out. Oh, there's a diplomatic offer from those merchant AI. So they said they'll give me some energy, and they're asking for some agri, some ore, and some finished goods. Sounds good to me. And in fact, I have a tendency, the first message I get, I turn on the auto accept. In fact, sometimes I just go into the interface here, the same place I was setting the sustainable. You have the options here. You could turn off the merchant AI. I haven't thought of a situation where I would want to do that yet, but you could. or you can turn on the auto accept merchant AI offers. Because it's a barter system, you're not really evaluating cost or value of it. Either you want the commodity because you've got spare of something else, or you don't want it and you turn it down. So I turn on the auto accept, and now the merchant AIs are just going to start, they're just going to keep sending me energy because I've told them I want. Now, if I surpass this, if my energy total gets above 567 sustainable days of stock, the trades will just stop because I won't be asking for anything. And that's where it'll sit. Now I sent the offer, and here it shows incoming transport. So when I do those diplomatic offers, it again uses that merchant AI system. Somewhere on the map, I can't see the merchant AIs until they get into my spotting. A merchant AI ship is going to come to my planet, pick up those goods, carry them over to my colony, and unload them. I can sort of see some of what's happening because when I select the planet and look here at my orbital station, I almost said space dock still. When I double click on this, I can see that there's a bunch of crates for goods. There's finished goods or agri. Those three is part of that trade the merchant AI wanted to do with me to bring me energy. And then here, that's the 500,000 tons of finished goods. Oh, another offer must have just come in. There's one of the merchant AI ships arriving. That's probably my order of energy. What was I at for 719? Oh, no, there's two ships there. So one of them, probably this guy, should be heading over here. Let me go down. So we should see our stock of finished goods. The stock should pop up to the 500,000 mark. Let me speed up time a bit. And I can use the resource, the supply chain. Oh, there we are. I now have 500,000 tons. And how's supply doing here? Oh, okay, I've gotten far enough that I'm going to be able to now go, let's see the energy again. That's where it is. Okay, I can right click, build, industrial, power plant. Oh, why didn't that build industrial power plant? Oh, I must have misclicked something there. So now I've started construction on a power plant. If I crank up the time, it's building. So I could get my colony, I could use my colony as a battery. I can build all sorts of power plants, pull in all the energy they're generating, and then I can use diplomatic trades to send it back. You can actually micromanage some of this stuff. The system that we've automated exists right there for the player, that they could take finished goods, set a quantity at, like, I don't know, 2 million tons. I click that. Now at end of day, I'm going to get in my space dock, there is a crate with 2 million tons. And then if I also go back to my reserves, deploy my transport, let's look at the crate again. I'm going to push that onto the transport ship. And the movement from stock of crates and stuff happens at the day end. So when your date changes, which means I need to speed this up. Oh, okay. He's now carrying the crate. So I can send him. And we can see in his inventory, there's that 2 million tons. And actually I can, this time, I'm going to send him, because we didn't trade them anything. They're still waiting to finish their orbital storage. So instead of waiting for that to finish, I want to get the goods over there right away. Let me crank up the speed again. Okay, now he got there. I'm going to go into the pop-up, tell him to unload the crate. Now if I switch to the colony controls, I have 2 million tons of finished goods in stock. And where is my... I have some concern that that doesn't seem to be finishing. We've done a lot of testing, but I will remind this is a fast-track build. There could still be glitches in the game. That's the nature of early access. But I already feel like what we're showing here today, this is a huge difference between what I tried to show a month ago to Mac. Originally, I look like the Narn from Babylon 5. I'm confident we haven't infringed on anybody's intellectual property. Just checking the chat for a minute. All right, that chat seems to be going along just fine. But the reason that you're going to want to not bleed your colonies dry is my next plan as a player is I'm going to, let me switch to my empire. I'm going to want to get in here and build some engineers so that I can build more orbital stations. Because if I want to expand my shipbuilding capacity, I can go here, build shipyard. I've got 1 shipyard right now, 2, 3. I'm maxed out. I can only get 3 shipyards here. If I want more shipyards, I'm going to have to build them over here. Which means that my colony needs to have the finished goods to build the ships, needs to have some energy in stock to fuel the ships. We're still dealing with the fact that you also need the military personnel, though it occurred to me as I was doing testing the other day, if my colony builds my ships and puts them into reserve, the diplomacy system, when you trade the ship, the crew is automatically added to the ship when it's deployed and it belongs to me. I can just keep having my colony feed me ships. Speaking, I probably should have turned on unit construction while I was doing all of this stuff. The colony doesn't have to give you all its units. I could take this interceptor, send him over here. I said that you needed the orbital station to trade resources, but treaties and other stuff, you just need the colony to be alive. So I can go here to diplomacy, and I want a new treaty, reassign space forces, and I'm going to send that to them. And once they accept it, there we go. This ship now belongs to, oh, I have a bug with that flag. That flag should be showing the colony's flag. So this ship is now a ship of the colony. Because I'm the leader, the empire, I can elastic band and get mine and my colony's ships all at once. That isn't true if you're the other way around. If I switch to colony controls and elastic band, I only get the colony's ships. So there's a bit of the top can control the bottom, but the bottom cannot control the top. And this is, as you might be able to imagine, setting up all these rules and making all this stuff interact. That's been a lot of the work the last month, is because we were starting to head along a certain path and just ran into problems. We had to update the design to accommodate everything we wanted to do here. Average Gamer's happy about the engineers. And yeah, so this is the majority of what you're going to get from Galaxy expansion. Because I started on an advanced tech level, I already have the ability to build my survey ships and my corvettes. I should probably put one of those into the queue. Another change, a significant change actually, is up till now, the previous versions, when you built better ships, they came with both ballistic weapons and beam weapons. We've actually changed that now that in the early game, you have only ballistic weapons. It's pretty quickly, I think it's like the second tier tech, you can research those focused beam weapons, but somebody could try and accelerate. So you could ignore the beam weapons, try and get a survey ship to be able to start exploring other systems in the galaxy. And if you do it that way, that first survey ship you send out is unarmed, because survey ships were never given ballistic. If you want your survey ship to have beam weapons, once you've researched beam weapons, you got to send the survey ship back home at least long enough to go into reserves for a refit. One of the mechanics that I guess I've run out of engineers and don't have any. Yeah, I've used up a lot of the powerful ships that I need. I need to crank the time here. I need to get my next engineer built. Moving between systems, what we call FTL, is done in a way that if you jump to a system, you will arrive at a random point in the outer 50% of the new system you've gone to. Once you get to a system, the idea is that using an engineer or a survey ship, you can drop an FTL beacon. The beacon becomes the arrival point once you've set it. Okay, slow this down a little bit. So I have the planetary engineer, and this was in the last update as well, the idea of beacons. That's maybe 2 or 3 updates since we added these. So I'm going to send him here to deploy a beacon. And so now there's a beacon here. And if I move my ship away, we've made some changes now so that you continue to see the beacon. It has a little flag. It doesn't have a health bar because I can't select the beacon. I do think there's still some bugs that it's possible to make the beacon selected and make it spin around in a circle, but it is working for the most part. The important thing is it works to become an arrival point. If I FTL out, this is where I'll come back to when I come to this system. We did also, because you can set up multiple of these, we've put a button up here that jumps you, let me zoom in, jumps you to your beacon. If I had more than one, clicking it again would cycle through all of my beacons. It needs, we got to do some graphic redesign to make that fit a little better, but the button's there and it's working at this point. What am I building now? Okay, I'm building a survey ship, so that should let me start exploring other systems once I've got one of those. Tells me I got my first FTL, more diplomatic exchange, first dropship built. Yeah, most of my news items there are stuff that we've talked about. Let me check the chat, see if there's anything else. Can you ask him if the studio played multiplayer in GR? How important were colonies in their games? We have played multiplayer. We've not played with colonies much. Some of the mechanics you're seeing about getting the orbital station and the orbital storage to be able to trade and stuff like that, that literally got working at the beginning of this week. Last week was a lot of fixing some bugs in it and stuff. So the latest multiplayer tests we've had have often been just me making my own colony and focused on my system, not necessarily even finding the other player, of just testing out growing a peaceful galaxy that I was testing out a lot of growing my own. And we've done sort of the reverse as well. Our lead programmer and his kid hacked their orbats to, I think they each started with more than 5,000 spaceships, and hacked the galaxy to be really small so they could find each other easily, and jumped all their fleets into one system and made it like a giant arena match. And just to, again, to stress test and make sure that the engine's managing this stuff. Right now, for galaxy size, there's the 5 default settings between 50 and 200, but I've got on my wish list that I'd like us to have a little more control on even just making a really small galaxy, that when I'm doing a lot of testing, I will hack one of the files down to give me 10 systems, and I'll put me and one other AI faction, and I know they're close and I can explore it pretty quickly to cycle through the parts of the game. But again, being able to do a 200 system galaxy, we hope that it's pretty epic. Can colonies declare war on the parent? I'm going to let George answer some of those questions. We started some testing the other day because we realized that my parent empire can create a colony that could then build a colony ship that could send out a colony ship to make a colony. And the mechanic, we don't want to really have a colony of a colony. The idea is if A makes colony B, B sends out a colony ship and colonizes C, C really should belong to A again. This idea of an empire, that you're controlling these things all together. How am I doing for time right now? Okay, all right. So I'm trying to figure out if there's other things. I should check the changelog. Bear with me while I look up what I'd written down as all our changes. And obviously, if you guys have specific questions, things you'd like to see, feel free to ask. I'm just going to bring up the Steam forums because I know I posted it there. Yeah, and if you're looking for the full changelog, and we'll be posting a news item for Galactic Ruler, probably be Monday before I get around to it. But we post changelogs each time we do the updates on Steam's forum. It's pinned to the top of the forum section. Okay, so what did I talk about? Building an orbital station creates a colony. Factions are no longer dead if they have no planet. So you can exist as a colony at the space level was a change we made. Orbital stations, names, ownership, resource department. Oh, the harvester. I haven't talked about the harvester. Are there even any asteroids in this system? No asteroids. Where is that? Have I finished my survey ship yet? So you can encounter asteroids as moons of planets, or in certain systems you'll jump into, you'll find a whole asteroid belt. And we did want to be able to exploit asteroids, but the idea of having to drop an orbital station around every asteroid in an asteroid belt really, it seemed excessive to us. So we changed the rules for the orbital station. You cannot place one on an asteroid anymore. Instead, what you do, let's see if I get lucky and find an asteroid. I'm still going to need an engineer. Don't know how well I'll be able to demonstrate this based on the system that I got. Okay, so I've jumped into a new system. Let me back up and do that a bit slower. I was in this system. I had a survey ship. I selected it, went up to the galaxy level, and I told it to FTL into this system. I'm going to slow down the speed a bit. So he arrived, and I can just go down by double-clicking on the system. I can zoom out to see if I can find him. Oh, there he is. Another trick I use when I arrive in a new system is at the galaxy level, you can select those ships, and then there's an option to, one of these options is center on. I can center on the ship itself. Oh, it only centers on the system. Double-clicking the unit takes you right to the unit. There he is. So we found a whole new system here. Okay, this one has an asteroid. The idea would be I'm going to build an orbital station here. On the orbital station, I will build a harvester facility. The harvester facility, you can give it what's called a rally point. So you select it and say, that's my target. You set the target of this asteroid, and the harvester will actually send little workers out to the asteroid to collect ore, bring it back, and all that ore gathers in here. And that also means that you could have, actually this is a good example, there's 3 asteroids, I could put 3 harvesters, all of them are going to bring all the ore back here, and then when I want to ship that back home, I'm just doing a diplomatic trade from one place. Merchant AI also let you get around the whole question of, well, how's the ore in system 4 getting back to my homeworld in system 1? Well, the merchant AI are doing the movement of the stuff for you. The crates that I showed, there are, as you do research, you can unlock merchant ships that are FTL capable if you just need to move the crates manually. Again, we've tried to make sure that those automated systems, you have an option to micromanage it, but you're not required. Mac asked, will colonies build and expand on their own? So if my colony needs ore or agriculture, will it build? How your colonies will expand is something we're still working on. And that's going to go to the system from Supreme Ruler, where we had ministers for the departments, is replaced in Galactic Ruler by having governors for your planets. And you can get to the controls right now. I feel I need to personally apologize for how ugly this screen is. It is on my list of to-dos to redesign this screen. So it's this little red eyeball thing gets you your planetary governors. And so for each of the 4 departments, you can give them priorities. Theoretically, this is piggybacking on the code and the AI of SRU, that if I ask it for commodity expansion, it should build buildings for me. It's untested, but that's likely the way we'll do, is that your colonies won't expand by default, but if you set minister priorities, they will. Entirely different from the AI. The AI, of course, is going to need to make its own decisions on where to place colonies, when to place colonies, which colonies to expand. And it's capable of some of this at this point. Like, it definitely understands a colony ship has a specialty to colonize. Oh, this world is colonizable. My ship can FTL. So the AI is capable of some of those steps right now. We're still evaluating how well it's doing it and if there's any gaps in the system. Trying to see if there's any other questions. Where's my... Oh, there's my survey ship. Let's find out what this world is. While he's looking, what else was on my list of things to talk about? Beacon is now a facility. That's really an under-the-hood change for the mechanics. Building spaceports gets you the outpost. Yeah, I suppose actually, because I don't have enough engineers right now, it'll be tougher for me to show this, but if I had an FTL-capable engineer, it's called a stellar engineer, I could bring it here, and instead of building the orbital station above, maybe I want to exploit the resources on the planet. The engineer can be told to build a spaceport. Because this isn't a breathable world, instead of giving me my first city and spaceport, it's going to give me an outpost and a spaceport. The idea is it's run by the military instead. From that, and it only claims that one place you land. Normally when you colonize, colonizing claims the whole planet. It's yours until somebody invades it and starts taking it from you by force. But when it builds an outpost, it just takes that one location. We did not manage to get this complete for this fast track. It is supposed to start expanding its control to other locations on the planet. That's what we're going to be working on next week. But we had lots of changes. We really wanted to get a new fast track out. Any plans about harvesting stuff from a sun, i.e. minerals like ore from its core or even massive solar power collectors? No. Not at this time. There's been some discussions about that sort of thing, and maybe we have the expression here of something is phase 2, that we're enjoying the development of Galactic Ruler, same as we enjoyed making our other games. Once we get to version 1.0, that's not going to be the end of the work. We tend to make sure that we get a good amount of support for our titles post-release, and that tends to include some additional features, but a lot of that's going to be driven by what we're getting from feedback from the community. What are people really looking for? Okay, something else I can point out now that I've gotten a bit further is each of the systems shows as unexplored until you've been there. Once you get there, it shows as visited. Your home faction will show as your faction's emblem. If I meet somebody else, it would show somebody else. The ring around this, if it's showing as blue, that means you've dropped a beacon there. We wanted some way to be able to represent that you've deployed a beacon. So here, if I take this survey ship and I'll set a beacon over here, there's a rule in the game that your beacons cannot be immediately adjacent to planets. So I have to move a little bit out, drop the beacon. Now at the galaxy level, this one has a blue ring as well. And like I said, if I take this guy and tell him to move back here, right click on that system, he jumped back into my beacon. And the beacons it's transit points essentially. Average Gamer is encouraging others to buy it so that we can fund his hope for a Dyson sphere in the game. Who knows? Maybe someday. We definitely have a number of core features we're still trying to get. Some of the big things still remaining, and this may sound familiar to things I've said before, but we still have some economy changes that we want. The unit combat model has gotten some big updates. The stats, in the previous versions, you'd send sort of your fighter ships against their fighter ships. They would get close to each other, and bang, instantly the battle's over. all yours are dead or all of theirs are dead. It didn't have a good balance in the combat. I'm definitely seeing now that I'll send 5 of my interceptors against 3 of the pirates, and I'll lose 1 interceptor and another will be partially damaged. So and that's really what we're looking for, is that the combat should be engaging enough for you to react to what's going on, maybe change your tactic, and maybe have to retreat in some places or bring in more forces. Yeah, what else have I built here? I got a planetary engineer. Can I build stellar engineers yet? There's planetary transports. Oh, I can. Might take a while to build that, though. Got another survey coming up. All right, speed up time. I mentioned it, from the sun and from the... Yeah. So yeah, harvesting right now at the system level, you can use a harvester to generate ore from nearby asteroids. There is also a energy harvester that you can put on gas giants or lava moons, and that's one actually is on my list to test, because I've got my orbital stations working, I've got my energy collectors working, and the colony stuff working, but I haven't, in my latest testing, I haven't come across a gas giant yet. For energy issues, that should be one of your really sweet finds. I find a gas giant, I'm going to drop an orbital station on it and 5 energy harvesters, and I'm going to set up trades from that thing to send all the energy it's collecting right back to my home world, and that I don't have to import so much through the merchant AI. Then what else? Yeah, so I'm trying to build, I've got another survey ship. Let's keep seeing if I can find another faction. You go over here, and then my other survey ship, I'm going to send it out this way. Source confirms Diopter has just completed construction new orbital shipyard. I can build 2 ships at once now. And I've jumped over here. I'm going to keep, well, actually, let's see what's in this system. Some more asteroids. Actually, a way of seeing what you've found in the system that I started using was, oh yeah, sometimes even I forget what we've added. In the land department, which I still wish it had a better name at system level, there's the nav point system, and this lets you set, I can right click and set a nav point, and this is a point that anywhere in the galaxy, I can see this list, double click, it'll bring me here. But it also shows me a list here of unexplored planets, and then when I hold over, I can see the moons. So I'm definitely not seeing any gas giants in this system. Let's keep searching for a gas giant. That's really what I'm after. Let's try this direction. Let's see what this guy found. So he's in this system of Plistum. Oh! This one has an asteroid belt and has an inhabited planet. But that's it. It just has an inhabited planet. And yeah, so there are, in this list, they won't exist twice. It's inhabited, so it's in this list, not in the unexplored list. So I found random pirates hiding in a system. They've got a planet here with a moon. Everything else is asteroids. And that's what I was saying, is in a case like this, I could send in a fleet to kill the pirates. Oh, actually, it's not even pirates. They don't have an orbital station. This must be one of the minor races. There's a few minor races scattered around the galaxy. It's sort of the concept of pre-warp civilizations. Oh, somebody just appeared here. That was somebody else FTL'd into the system. Oh, and another faction got eliminated. Some of these messages, we want to restrict them a little more. I probably should not know about a faction that I haven't met yet. Losing control of him. Where did he go? Can I find him before he disappears? I think he may have already FTL'd out. Alright, but he's got to be nearby. What happens if I go here? No, still nobody. And you go here. What was that system you were in? Let's see what's in here. Unexplored planets. Planets with some moons. More asteroids. The balance of what type of planets you get, that is also on our list. That right now I think you get way too many landable planets and maybe even too many Earth standard atmospheres, what we call nitrogen oxygen atmosphere planets. We also have some graphics work being done so that alien planets look more alien. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at with this one. That it really feels like I've sat down on a weekend and spent more than 2 hours playing from the start of the game and starting to dig into this. That I don't feel that I'm hitting any major walls. I will share a tidbit of information that's in the future design. We do still intend the economy to have some interesting shortages in places. Everybody who's played it so far has run into energy as a bottleneck at times. We've generally solved that with the trading, but it might become a bottleneck again in the future because we intend research to consume energy. And that'll be one of the throttles, so that you can't just run away doing as much research as you want, is it will be another of those things you have to factor and balance to make meaningful choices in the game. Somebody says, can you turn off a beacon? You cannot turn off a beacon, but you can self-destruct the beacon. And there's even I noticed at one point somebody came, had played a bit of the game, posted a message on the forum, and they're like, I like the game, but I really don't like having the pirates in the home system. And I'm like, there's a lobby option in the advanced, no pirates. And even the beacon system, players can choose to turn that off. And then once you've visited a system, you can jump to anywhere you want in the system. For gameplay, we don't like that as a default. We feel like it's going to make some of the maneuvering around the galaxy and the combat is just going to be too crazy. Even with the beacons, one of the tactics I look forward to successfully doing is, so this survey ship arrived at the edge of the system, and this is where all the interesting stuff is, but there's nothing stopping me from bringing an enemy fleet, or bringing my fleet into an enemy system and sending them up here into what's called the Oort Cloud and parking some ships here, and then sort of build so I'd build my beacon over here, hide ships here, and then when the other player's like, who dropped a beacon in my system, and they send it over here, I come out and I can pounce on them and set up an ambush, and definitely things like that we hope are going to be exciting to play in the game. Checking the changelog again. Any other big things I should talk about today? Because I've been going for about an hour. I'm going to have to go home soon. Oh, tech tree. And this does actually go back to the energy. When early access began, one of the things people were using to solve the energy problems is if you climbed the tech tree high enough, we had these dark energy power plants and stuff. And this is a carryover fictional idea from SRU. They're gone at this point. All the dark energy related technology stuff is out of the tech tree. That it doesn't really fit the design we're looking for. We're going to keep tracking how things go with energy. If we create a major problem, we will find a solution for it. Something in the game mechanic that keeps it interesting, but we don't feel like dark energy is the right design for the feel of the game we're looking for. So they're gone. Game law, I talked about being able to set your fleet size, combat stats have changed, tutorials, lots of UI and graphic fixes. I think that really covers a lot of the changes. I suppose one other small change that it's hard to see until I start exploring and colonizing and stuff, but the emblems that get used for the colonies, I think this might be one of the new ones. I'm trying to clean these up. You don't run into them too much. Well, there's so many that you only run into a few of them each time you play. And players are going to be generally focused on the primary races, but that's oh wow, I have a bunch of, hey, I've got Stellar Engineer. All right, so I can actually go back and do the Harvester. So I sent my engineer, he arrived at the beacon. I'm now going to tell him to build an orbital station. Speed this up a bit. I'm going to slow it down again for a second. Build Harvester. I think the Harvester takes a while to build. Right click, facilities, 105 days. Yeah, it does take a little while to get your Harvester complete. I'm going to click my emblem to come back to my home system. All right, bunch of people are dropping out, and I'm going to be done in a minute or two anyway. My facility did ultimately finish. I lost track of that orbital storage, but now that the orbital storage is done, I can do diplomatic offer, resources. I could take back some of their stuff, or I could, hey, maybe I should send a little bit of food to the soldiers who live on the station and request nothing in return. And once they've got commodities, as the colony, they can set up their own resource trades with the, like, I can set I need at least 40 days of finished goods, and I want to keep, I don't know, 5 days of food. And the minister is just going to keep trying to trade things around. Okay, that seems like a pretty solid demonstration of the stuff. Please check out the forums and our Discord channel if you have further questions. Check out the game. If you bought it in early access and haven't touched it in a while, I strongly recommend turning on that Fasttrack and testing out the builds. I really think that it's getting to be interesting and enjoyable to play. Questions are still being answered, and we'll watch the comments and we can add some stuff after the stream. Thanks to everybody for watching, and have a good weekend. Bye.